I sobbed like I had eaten a whole supper of Scotch bonnet peppers, or like that time Halle Berry accepted her Oscar. It was the 1990s, and it's what I remember most about going to see the Joy Luck Club, a multi-generational zigzag told from the perspective of four mahjong playing older ladies in San Francisco, about their lives in China, about their arrivals in America, about their topsy-turvy relationships with their diaspora-settled daughters. Constance Lau as Celine and Carmen Sue as Francesca in Crazy Rich Asians, Sonia Bucco, Warner Brothers. Photo, forever etched into the Tearjerker Hall of Fame by now, it's always up there with predictable weepers like beaches in terms of endearment. What I also recall is that of the three of us who'd gone to see the movie, one was an Indo-Canadian via Africa, moi, another was a Turkish-Canadian, and the last was a second-generation Pole. And, well, at least two of us were dudes. And yet we all got that movie, falling prey to its themes of immigrant perseverance and parent-child bewilderment. Amazing, that, something so specific that was also so universal. The power of cinema. As it happens, it is also a movie that carries a particular halo in 2018, as the mega-fun, mega-glam Crazy Rich Asians gallops into theaters this month. As my friend, Kevin Kwan, the author of the book, told me when I threw a party in his honor last summer at the Thompson Hotel in Toronto, the first major studio movie with an all-westernized Asian cast since Joy Luck. Yes, 25 years ago. Crazy or what? Article continued. Bella Wand Y. Kwan, as he informed me then, stuck to his guns about holding out for a proper film, and not, by contrast, taking a Netflix deal which was on the table, and which was actually, well, crazy richer in scope. Both he and his director, John Chu, strongly about this being an event, as he told The Hollywood Reporter recently, "We needed this to be an old-fashioned cinematic experience, not for fans to sit in front of a TV and just press a button. They rolled the dice, in other words." Warner Brothers came calling. The irony being that the Joy Luck Club, in the words of its producer Janet Yang, is itself probably not commercial enough to be made into a feature today. As she also said in the interview, back then, it earned $33 million, unlike Asian-centric movies that followed. It is important to point out, like 2000's foreign-language Oscar winner Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Crazy Rich Asians is a wholly contemporary yarn. Kinda like Dynasty meets Meet the Parents. The singularness of this moment, perhaps best qualified by Elaine Louis, blogger extraordinaire and co-host of The Social, who when musing sometime back on her love of the entire, over-the-top Crazy Rich Asians series in Flair, wrote that while stories such as Joy Luck Club represented more earnest totems of her culture, these books, and the coming movie, celebrate, even revel in, our superficiality. And that is totally okay. If white people can have both Steinbeck and Gossip Girl, why can't many of Kwan's characters behave hideously? And it's hilarious, she went on to say, adding, the comedy is in the often uncomfortable generalizations about being Chinese. Like other STTY chippers, this is my mother. She's not rich but is definitely crazy. And, like the characters in the book, she too observes the Chinese hierarchy. It's the ugly part of Chinese culture that Kwan is not afraid to illustrate and criticize, that certain Chinese people, from certain territories, are considered superior to others. Chinese from Hong Kong and Singapore are often ranked highest because they're perceived to be more sophisticated, mannered and elegant. At the very bottom of the Chinese totem pole are the mainlanders, those who come from China proper and are raised under communist influence, and therefore considered to be coarse or uncultured, qualities only exacerbated by money. But, first, there was Joy Luck, a movie in which the joy is fleeting and the luck middling, but hope overflows anyways. The Trophy of Tears, scene-wise, according to Entertainment Weekly and a Weeper list they once compiled. It consists of a flashback showing how one of the women in the film had to abandon her twin baby girls by the road while fleeing the Japanese invasion of Kowloon. Article continued. Bella, with her scenes that still hold their own, sob-wise, as per when I screened the film again recently, is a hairdresser salon moment in which frustrated young chess prodigy Waverly confronts her passive-aggressive mother Lindo. You don't know the power you have over me. One word from you, one look and I'm 4 years old again, crying myself to sleep. Because nothing I do can ever please you, and while the Wayne Wong-directed movie has curdled with age, as so many of these things do, some will point to its one writing, or to its prevalence of monolithic Asian casting, others says it reinforces negative stereotypes about Asian men. At the same time, it seeped so far into the cultural vortex that, for Asians of a certain age, all roads lead to it. Canada's own Sandra Oh, for example, remembers seeing it in the theater with her longtime collaborator, Mina Shum, and just weeping. Like, shuddering weeping. Weeping more than really the film deserved. Our experience was much bigger than what was being called for. Likewise, comedian Margaret Cho, who had the first, albeit short-lived, television sitcom with an Asian in the lead, way back then, who, some 2 decades later, quipped on Twitter, "I'm still pissed about being left out of the Joy Luck Club." Cho actually started out as a fan of the Amy Tan novel First, on which it is based, once sharing, "Reading it really changed the way I thought about Asian American history. Our heritage has a lot of difficult stuff in it, a lot of misogyny, a lot of fear and rage. It showed me a past that reached beyond borders and languages and cultures." Premiering at the Toronto International Film Festival in 1993, the movie was enough of a zeitgeist boom that it snagged the biggest validation of the time, 2 thumbs up from both Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel, the most ubiquitous film critics in the culture then. Ebert even placed it as 5th in his top 10 of that year, with Siskel putting it at 7th. Echoes that clearly resonate in this Crazy Rich Asians moment of ours. One in which we get a whole lazy Susan of stars, led by newcomer Henry Golding, the half-English, half-Malaysian pretty boy who gives good leading man in the film, a turn by the always masterful Michelle Yeoh as merciless Singapore matriarch Eleanor Young, not to mention a slew of others like Gemma Chan from AMC's Humans, Sonoya Mizuno, La La Land, Ex Machina, Chris Pang, Marco Polo, and Ken Jeong. What follows from that might be a kind of Rorschach test for racially inclusive roles in Hollywood, as Wesley Wong posits in the most stark terms in the latest Vanity Fair. The chicken or egg problem applies. How do you get a well-known Asian actor if you don't ever cast Asians in leading roles, which you are constrained from doing because none are well enough known? When Alan Yang, co-creator of the well-received Netflix series Master of None, nabbed the Emmy for comedy writing a couple years back with co-creator Aziz Ansari, he actually hammered the point at the podium. There are 17 million Asian Americans in this country, Yang said, and there are 17 million Italian Americans. They have The Godfather, Goodfellas, The Sopranos, We Got Long Duck Dong, the horny teen boy from 16 Candles. We have a long way to go. To all the Asian parents out there, Yang concluded, grinning, get your kids cameras instead of violins, and we'll all be good, in terms of the business of movie making. However, for Crazy Rich Asians to truly work, and to be seen as a success, it will of course need to tap into a specific audience, but also appeal both broadly and widely. Precisely like how the Joy Luck Club did, all those years ago, for me. Shineng Gavana is a freelance columnist based in Toronto covering culture and society. Follow him on Twitter, @ShinengGavani.